Started. Welcome to the workshop meeting, March 28th, 2018, Town of Poughkeepsie. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Tonight's agenda is Hudson Heritage Project workshop for an update regarding the proposed project for redevelopment of the former Hudson River State Hospital, 3532 North Road, US Route 9, zoned HRDD, Historic Revitalization Development District, 156.19. Type 1 action, EFG DRA Heritage LLC owner. And this is basically a workshop for informational purposes. So there's going to be no voting or decisions made tonight. And I wanted to know we have our chairman, John Wiseman, is out of town, so we tied him in with some FaceTime tonight, so he'll be able to see the presentation and make comments as well. So welcome and introduce yourselves. And
is this working?
Take that one in front of you that's sticking
up. Okay, if I can't get up?
Oh, yes.
If you turn that one on, it takes a couple seconds to warm up, so.
Okay. Let me introduce myself. I'm Marty Berger. I'm a principal with Sabre Real Estate Advisors. We're a real estate development firm for 30 years based in Westchester, New York. With me is Joe Kenton, an associate. We are partners with Diversified, John Stein and Nick, on the development of Hudson Heritage. John will be here momentarily. He was planning on doing the initial introduction, but in his absence, I will as well. Joe is handing you some information about our companies and some quite a few developments that we've undertaken to date. We have been familiar and involved with the project probably about 5 years now, prior to Diversified entering into a contract to purchase the property. In fact, our company was to purchase the property. And at the last minute, they swooped in, unbeknownst to us, acquired the property, and took it through the secret approval process. Their expertise is in development, basically in for rent multifamily and for sale single-family development. And with that mindset, they prepared the development application, the master plan, and pursued the secret approvals and obtained the secret approvals with the help of Peter Weiss and Peter's law firm, which you know quite well. Coincidentally, Peter's firm is our firm for 10 years plus, as well as we've done work with David's firm as well. So we have a long history of working together and doing it successfully and understanding each other and working well together. Also, John Stein, a principal of Diversified, and our company, Sabre, are development partners in 4 significant developments. The smallest is $40 million, and the largest is $230 million. We specialize in mixed-use developments. We've done every sort of ground-up development over the 30 years, including developing 2 Ritz-Carlton hotels in Florida, assisted living, skilled care nursing, which we own and operate to this day, multifamily residential low-rise to 32-story high-rise towers, to retail from Starbucks to Costco, Home Depot, multiple supermarkets, Bed Bath & Beyonds, etc. We have joined forces over the past year or so with John's company and their investment partner, EFG, pursuant to which we will come in and take a more active participation in the next phase, the continuation of the secret application that they have pursued and the master plan. And we have specific users at this point in time that we basically are comfortable to proceed and start. And in essence, we think that we can start a phase one development of several 100,000 square feet of space, all of which will be pre-committed or pre-used, which in today's world is quite huge. It's a plan that I'd like to walk you through that is a little bit different in terms of uses than that which was contemplated, but is extremely consistent with the approvals that have been studied and have been granted to date. And Peter Wise and David and our respective consultants have done the analysis to confirm all of that, and they can get into that. So what I would like to do is walk you through our development plan and the uses that we have and our timeline for proceeding forward. And speaking of timeline, this is Jonathan Stein. Before I walk through our uses and our time frame, what I would like to do is just go back a little bit and show you two recent successful developments that we have completed and explain them to you, so that when I explain what our uses are for this project, you'll have an understanding. This project is called Rivertown Square. It's on it's in the Sawmill River Parkway in Dobbs Ferry, New York, just south of Tappan Zee. Can you see?
Okay, they waiting for them.
The project's on roughly 20 acres of land, and it's a mixed-use development. It's just completed. The last tenant took occupancy maybe a month ago. It includes 220 multifamily rental units, a New York Sports Club gymnasium with a Starbucks and a GNC and a Verizon. It includes a supermarket along with restaurants and retail. It has a 40,000 square foot iPic movie theater, which has a 10,000 square foot sit-down restaurant, cocktail lounge, entertainment lounge, and then 8 of the most beautiful theaters you could possibly imagine, where you can have cocktails and also have dinner if you'd like. There's a building here which contains retail on the first floor, including a daycare center, a children's gymnasium, ice cream parlor, a juice bar, tanning salon, and then it has a 150-room Hilton Garden Inn above it with parking behind. Restaurant, Buddha Asian Grill, Chipotle, Chopped, Ulta Cosmetics. It's truly a mixed-use village, if you will, where you don't have to leave. You can live here in the morning. A mother or a parent could take a child in the morning and drop the child at the daycare center. They can go to Starbucks for coffee, work out at the gym, go shopping, go to one of 5 restaurants on site, go to the supermarket, get some groceries, pick up the child, and go home to their apartment. Or in the evening, somebody attending the hotel could come to the hotel, work out across the street, and have restaurants on site, doesn't need to move a car, etc. It works really quite well as a village and as a mixed-use development, and one use helps another. The hotel's more profitable because it doesn't have to have a restaurant that no one hardly uses. In fact, they have takeout service from Chipotle
Connected.
and Chopped and Buddha Asian Grill, and they don't need a gymnasium because there's a gym across the street, and so on and so forth.
It's a nice symbiotic relationship.
Yeah.
Where did you say that project is again?
This is right on the Sawmill River Parkway in Dobbs Ferry. So if you came over the Tappan Zee Bridge and went south on the Sawmill Parkway, it's literally the first traffic light that you come to. It's on the
I was
right-hand
going to say
side.
that looks familiar.
So 20 acres. This is basically the same type of uses on 4.5, 5 acres in downtown White Plains. Again, a project that Peter's firm and our firm successfully are finishing the approvals actually on Monday. We decided not to build a piece of it, but it's all of the uses that I mentioned pretty much on 4.5, 5 acres, and it actually includes a 40,000 square foot car dealership in the basement. This plan has a 40,000 square foot car dealership that used to be on grade and an eyesore, moves it down into the basement with a retail showroom. It has 140,000 square feet of retail and restaurants, retail on the second floor, offices on the upper level, plus a 250-unit multifamily development and a 150-room hotel. And this particular project has about 1,000 parking spaces. But again, the same sort of relationship, mixed use, where one use helps the other, et cetera.
I mean, I was just going to ask how, it looks nice and compact, where's all the car dealer parking there for?
It's like Mazda on
It's
Route
4
9.
acres.
So
The autos enter here. They go down to a lower level.
So there is an underground parking?
It's 100%
That's what I thought.
underground parking with a facility service center, and then they exit here.
Neat.
Because of timing issues, we've decided to build basically everything except for that piece on the left. And that's proceeding now. So in our opinion, doing retail development for 30 years, we all know what's happening with the internet and retailers and big boxes. When we first started working on a project, we concluded it would be impossible to lease 350,000 square feet of commercial space. Excuse me. At the same time, I have 3 kids that went through college. You probably as well did. And every time I visited my kids at UT Austin or Michigan or Vanderbilt, I always saw these mixed-use, college-oriented developments that were very, very close to proximity to the colleges. And they had a grocery store, and they had some retail, and they had a CVS, and they had restaurants, and they had a place, maybe a convenience place, and they had graduate student housing or multifamily housing, and they might have had a bookstore and a college component. And I see these over and over and over again. We've done quite a bit of study in this sector, and in order to address what we could do at Hudson Heritage, we sat down with Marist College, and we had multiple conversations with them, and we started at the bottom and worked our way up. And the conversations concluded with the philosophy that said that colleges today cannot survive just based on academics, but they have to have a place where students want to go, parents want to come, alumni want to come, want to stay, where they can shop, expand their time at the campus. And at the same time, the colleges want to expand out into the communities. Throughout the United States, we're seeing colleges bring in assisted living, 55 and older components onto campus. We're seeing them build learning annexes where they have dedicated facilities for evening classes for the community, where they have lecture halls, theater, and so on and so forth. So we started having these conversations with Marist College, and they were very interested, and we started surveying all of the department heads as to what their uses and needs were. So it turned out that they desperately need a branded hotel. They'd like a luxury boutique hotel, but they need a branded hotel. They explained to us that they have 68,000 visitors per year, that they refer out 20,000 hotel nights a year. They have 23 Division I sport teams that typically stay in Danbury because there's not a hotel close enough that's large enough for the teams to have breakout capability and to have catering, etc. They explained to us that the college maxed out at 137 person standing for cocktails. They'd like to have a larger convention center. Excuse me. They explained that there's a need that they have for a daycare facility close in proximity, that their staff and professors need a facility close where they can bring their children on the way to work, come to work, pick up in the afternoon. They explained that there is a significant need for a grocery store. There's a need for staff and professor housing. They have a hard time bringing in professors into the community, and apparently they rotate 50 professors a year because of the lack of quality housing that's close in proximity to Marist. Similar problem with staff housing. They also mentioned that they need a urgent care medical facility, and that their objective was to basically offload off campus their medical programming. With that, we went down the road and we spoke to the officers at HealthQuest, who, as you know, are building quite a big facility down the road, including a new medical college. And they too have a need for multifamily housing for their residents and their doctors and their staff. And they also expressed a significant interest in providing the urgent care for closer to Marist, as well as having a primary care. So what we did was we took all these uses that I just mentioned, and we overlaid them into the approved plan that was studied through the secret process. And in doing so, we also verified that the uses generate as much, if not more, benefit and have equal or less impacts to make sure that we didn't violate what was studied to date. So what we have is basically a site plan, and I'll show you. It's a work in progress, and we're cleaning it up, meaning we're putting the architect's special touches on it for pedestrian access and better connectivity, et cetera. But it basically has all of the uses that I just mentioned. Very similar to the configuration that you've seen. Sorry.
That's all right, no worries.
Turn my... So basically, it's very similar. We have all of the commercial components in this area, in the south side. Multifamily, graduate housing, and a hotel component on the north side. One other component that's very important that I forgot to mention was Marist's interest in having an expanded Center for Life Studies, which is programmed here. They have a Center for Life Studies now, which has about 800 members, and they have another 800 plus on the waiting list. It's too much for the volunteers to handle. And what they're in the process is putting together a program to take it over and professionally manage it and run it. And they thought it would be wonderful to have a dedicated building where adults and people could come for programming, maybe expanded like the Learning Annex in New York City. And Learning Annex in New York City was basically adult education. It started in a room this size, and now it's an enormous program that they have. So we have a placeholder here for Center for Life Studies. And with the Center of Life Studies and Marist involvement, you have interest from 55 and older housing developments, because it'd be nice to be close to a learning facility where you can see younger people, where you can walk to restaurants, walk to the supermarket, etc. So basically what we've done is overlaid all of those uses into the site plan that went through the secret process. And we have a medical component here, which is about 40,000 square feet, two-story building, which has an urgent care and a primary care. Several restaurants and retail boutiques here, supermarket, either graduate apartments here, and staff housing here, or the reverse. Staff professor housing here and graduate located here, Center for Life Studies, and a hotel and a convention center. So in total, it's about 230,000 square feet of commercial, whereas 350,000 was approved, and we have expansion capability. And in total, the multifamily units are about 350 versus 750, but we have the others reserved here as we continue to expand. We have every intention of energizing the Creighton lawn, as well as restoring it, as well as to use the administrative building. We think it'd be wonderful to save that beautiful facade, put a brand-new building behind it, and incorporate it, as well as the other structures that we're obligated to keep. At this time, we're finalizing our site plan, dressing it up, making the interconnectivity, plus the pedestrian walkways proper, make sure the connection to Marist College is correct. Our plan would be to proceed as quickly as we can to just commence and finish the demolition and the asbestos removal, to do the improvements along Route 9, and to proceed through site plan approval and start construction as quickly as possible. Prior to starting, at this point in time, we're taking the interest we have from Marist College for the multifamily, for the Center for Life Study. We're taking the interest we have for the medical, urgent care, and primary care, and for a significant amount of the retail space, converting it to leases, and that'll enable us to proceed and start our development. The partners have invested about $15 million to date, and they're ready to double down their commitment and start the development in earnest. Let me turn this over to John Stein. Perhaps I've missed a few things that he can add.
I was going to ask about phasing. Is there a...
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Okay, sounds good.
Hey, good evening. Thanks, Marty. I'm John Stein. I'm a principal of the owner, EFG DRA Heritage. Been working on the project since we acquired it about 4.5 years ago. And we've brought the project as far as we could internally. So we've brought it through our secret approval process, and now with the changing tides in the retail, we at EFG DRA Heritage decided that we really need to bring in a retail expert, somebody that can provide, as David's heard me say, and certainly Marty's heard me say many times, a special sauce to make retail work in this changing retail environment. So we had 350,000 square feet, which we're entitled to build in what we call the south area versus the north parcel versus the south parcel. So when we started off on the planning process, the retail was, okay, big box, join up with some other junior boxes and create some more lifestyle restaurants along the roadway. Well, it's retail. Off?
No, it's on. Just
John, I just sent you a snapshot of
So
the plan.
as we continue to move forward through the approval process, and the retail world kept on changing on us, we realized that we needed to bring somebody in that can bring in the special sauce, create all these different uses, and really make this a viable development. So we had been working with a supermarket operator, and we have a signed LOI with a supermarket operator, but we really couldn't take it much further within my own shop because we didn't have the special sauce. You need to know who follows these supermarket operators into developments at this point. Who plays well with them? Who plays well with the restrictions against uses that they'll have for other tenants in there? Who wants to be next to a supermarket? Because a supermarket is a big driver for us, and we've heard loud and clear that not only community, but the supermarkets want to be here. So Marty is a partner of mine on several other deals, and we got to talking, and I said, Marty really does this. Sabre does this for a living. They create these environments, and they're living it. We don't live at DRA, at Diversified. We don't live this retail every day. We do a lot more of the, I'll say, more of the, certainly the residential, but if we're doing commercial, it's just a rounding error for us. It's a has-been. It's a means to an end to do the development. Marty lives this day to day. As you see on Dobbs Ferry, and I've been to Dobbs Ferry. I mean, it's an excellent community that thrives because of the interconnectivity, because of the symbiotic relationship from parking, from pedestrian uses, from lifestyle uses. So knowing Marty as well as I have for many years and partnering him on other deals, we brought in Marty and said, what can you do here? And within the past 4 months or so, Marty's now gotten Marist College on board, and as he talked about with HealthQuest on board, and now we have a plan. So Marty's gotten the experts to start drawing and created what will be a really exciting development with all those various uses. So right now we've got a lot of energy moving forward on this piece, which is in compliance with the SECRA. So there's the elements of the SECRA process are a spine road through here, protecting the spine road around the Great Lawn, restoring the Great Lawn, had a connectivity to Quiet Cove Park off the new entrance over here, having a vehicular connection over here, making this pedestrian friendly, all the real uses that were intended in the south. The north at this point, we don't have full commitments, and we're not quite as gelled, which is why Marty said we've got really placeholders on the north. We think there's really good vibe and a lot of desire for Marist to do the Life Sciences Center. That'll come about. So right now, from a phasing perspective, we think, and these conversations are moving forward every day, but we think this is going to be a south section here with some of, either, as Marty said, this could be graduate student housing or this could be staff housing. It'll all be privately owned and maybe flagged with a Marist flag, but it'll all be privately owned. So it'll be fully on the recognized as private property for the tax rolls. But we've got we've got enough momentum on the retail that this will probably be the first phase. It may be broken down to a sub phase in here, but we likely won't go too far into the north territory. Part of our secret approval requires us also to do a lot of the demolition in the north once we hit the COs for 200,000 square feet in the south. So right now we're cognizant of all of the requirements of the secret process, all of the requirements of the occupancy, but mostly what we're focused on now with an eye towards that is making sure that we've got a viable first phase to come in with. And as Marty said, that this is a work in progress right now, so it continues to evolve as Marty makes these connections through Marist and through HealthQuest and a lot of other players whose names will come about, and through our supermarket LOI, we'll start announcing those names as we start gelling them. But we wanted to give you just the overview of where we are, how we're handling this, what you can expect to see coming in. We've met with representatives of all the stakeholders at this point, and we're just excited to be able to really, hopefully, bring this before the board in the next month, 2 months, when we get the plans further refined, and really get out into the field and start work. So,
Just to clarify the phase and the timing, phase one would be approximately 150,000 square feet of the retail, including the supermarket, including the medical office component, including the balance of a certain amount of retail, probably 30,000 square feet. Excuse me. Phase one will also include about 100 of the first phase of the staff professor housing. And phase one would also include about 100 of the graduate/medical resident housing.
So that will be 200 total?
We contemplate that the staff professor will be 200, but it can be more. We contemplate that the resident multifamily component would be around 300, could be more as well. We're working against the limit of 750 units. But that's where we're planning on breaking ground with phase one.
How many units do you anticipate in the, around the Great Lawn there, that first phase?
These are 20-unit buildings, 20,
about
40,
80
60,
there.
80. There's a clubhouse here, and then there's more in this
Additional
location.
units behind there, okay.
Yeah.
So that's part of the first phase before you go up on
Yep.
the hill, further up
Yes.
the hill.
As John mentioned, as soon as we nail down a commitment for a Center for Life Studies, we'll break ground on it. As soon as we receive a commitment for the hotel, we'll break ground on the hotel. We have completed 5 hotel deals in the past few years, so we know all of the operators. We understand exactly what they want. We've talked to Marist about a branded hotel. Marist has agreed to lend their name. Can you pass that letter to the board, please? Marist has agreed to lend their name, so it'll be Marriott at Marist College, Hilton at Marriott College, so on and so forth. They've agreed to advertise our development on their website, so that, there'll be a link at Marist College's website that says, come visit Hudson Heritage, stay at, the hotel, shop here, eat here, so on and so forth. So our timing in connection with the first phase would be as quickly as possible to do all of the asbestos demolition on this section down.
Yep.
We are just completing a buyout of 100% of the asbestos and demo. That'll be done early next week at the latest. Our plan is to
The
do...
buyout, not the demo.
Hey, that was quick.
Our plan is to complete the two intersections and the road work between this intersection and that intersection as quickly as possible.
So you still to connect the roads at Home Depot Plaza
Yes,
internal, okay.
we would do all of this improvement right up front with Phase 1, of course. Put in the spine road, make those improvements, and
I mean, one of the biggest things of the town master plan and as well as the development master plan for this is preservation of that main building up there, and it was talked about as a boutique hotel, so what is your thoughts of it going forward?
it can possibly be a boutique hotel. If not, we do plan to energize it and use it. Excuse me. The best way to use it is to keep the facade and frankly, tear down whatever's behind it. It's can't really be saved, it's not functional. But the beautiful facade is incredible facade. And we can show you multiple examples of these types of buildings. For example, there's a Conservatorium Hotel in Amsterdam that has an incredible facade that goes back to the late 1800s and has a brand new, beautiful, modern hotel behind it. And you've seen examples all over the United States. But that would really be the best opportunity to entice a boutique hotel or to energize it with restaurants or coffee shops or a clubhouse type facility.
Yeah, just to clarify, the admin building is not going to be part of the first phase. So just so you know, there's the as Marty said, it may be a boutique hotel. We're certainly going to be trying, to get some type of an open type of a use to it where public can enjoy the building. We have not proceeded to that level yet because that's in a later phase, and whether we save the facade, we use the entire building, whatever it is, we'll deal with that during that particular phase. Right now, the first phase will be, as we said, down here. Well, so as we're working on the first phase, we'll be still trying to put together with Marist for the life sciences. We'll be out looking for a boutique hotel operator. We'll be doing all those things, but right now it just hasn't been determined. So it won't be before you as part of the first phase for that admin building.
I think they've stabilized it somewhat, but that's been a concern that it continues to deteriorate, before something's done to it, so.
Well, the facade, it can definitely be saved, and that's the most important component. We have gone down and identified 3 boutique hotel operators that specialize in college communities. So we have them lined up, prepared, and ready to go to. We are in the process of creating our marketing materials and the PR program. And at the same time, we've retained a hotel consultant that is going to complete their interviews with Marist and HealthQuest and others in the community, finish their reports, and then go out with a new report that focuses, that presents what we're doing in the most positive light to these hotel operators.
Mm-hmm.
Carl, it's John.
Yep, I think we can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Put you on the record here with the mic. Go ahead.
Just to remind the board that as far as the keeping the facade, we did a project a few years ago at Vassar College where, in fact, they kept the facade of the Playhouse, the theater,
Yeah.
which remained intact, and they built a beautiful, modern, state-of-the-art facility behind it. And that's where all the shows and the theatrical things are done over during the year. So it's something, not something that's foreign to us, and something that we certainly would embrace, I would think.
All right, John, thanks. You also have to be careful in keeping the facade. They tried to do that
Of
also
course.
at the Home Depot Plaza for the Fiat building, and that didn't survive the,
So we're excited about the proceeding. Our firm doesn't let grass grow under our feet, so.
So the housing units, you just kind of depicted toward the northeast there of the site. In the back will be the last phase.
I hope that by the time we start moving dirt, that we'll be able to, our objective is by the time we start moving the dirt here, our objective is to have the Center for Life Studies, a hotel committed, and at least 1 to 2 of these
Okay.
buildings
Those-
committed. In terms of the 100, if we're going to keep this as the staff professor housing, we're going to separate the graduate and the residents. Again, it'll be privately owned, but originally our thought was to put graduate and residents and here, and the staff housing here. Recently, we're thinking about switching it, putting the residents here, and the graduates and the staff professors here. But either way, we anticipate half and half as phase 1.
All right.
I have a couple of questions. What is your position? Do you have an equity position with EFG, you and Mr. Stein?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
In the letter from Marist, the last sentence, we look forward to continued discussions on potential partnership opportunities to support the needs of the region. We've had applications before the board in the past where there was a potential for a transfer of title to a not-for-profit. Let me finish. And the owners have agreed to enter into an agreement with the town that really won't occur, that there will be no loss of tax or tax base to the town. Would you be willing to enter into that type of agreement?
Yes, yes. The reference to partnership, if I can interpret what Jeffrey is talking about, is the working relationship where we're going to help each other to brand, co-brand, et cetera.
No, I know, words are awful.
There's no expectation and commitment from Marist to make any financial investment, other than perhaps they might be a tenant at the Center for Life Studies. We've made it perfectly clear that all this is privately owned, and that there's not an opportunity for them to take a building or a piece of land off the tax rolls.
Okay. Just better to talk, 10 times before than 1 time after.
Thank you.
Also,
Go ahead, Peter.
there was, in the finding statement, there was mention of a letter from the Fairview Fire Department setting forth that they were totally on board with this and they're completely happy with the applicant's position in terms of making them happy. I couldn't find a copy of that letter in the finding statement. Could you make a copy of that letter available to us?
Sure.
So we could have it
Absolutely.
on our records?
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks. Would you provide it to the,
Sure.
and he can copy us? Okay.
Yeah, that'll work.
Thank you. Thanks.
I just want to say, I think it's a great idea that you've had all these conversations. That kind of a symbiotic relationship will work well as far as making the project successful, I think.
Thank you. I hope so. I think the important thing in a project like this is to have it pre-leased. All of our projects for 30 years have been pre-leased, and I think that's, knock on wood, of how we've been successful. It also gives us the comfort, and our bankers, and
Right, yeah.
the comfort to know. In this project, it took so long because of initial opposition that we had to lease the hotel twice. And we had to lease the theater twice, and we had to lease the supermarket twice because of changes in everyone's world. So it's always nice to have a great location and uses and a center that works, so that if you have a problem with somebody, you still have a valuable asset that others want to draw to. And in this development, creating the symbiotic relationship between the uses just builds upon itself. We have a transaction with an assisted living operator in Westchester, and when we told them what we were doing here with the Center for Life Studies, they were like, wow, that's exactly what we want. Our customers no longer want to retire in the woods. They want to be part of a development where they can see younger people, walk to restaurants, walk to a supermarket, and go to a place to study and learn. Similarly, with the learning experience, the daycare center, they love the opportunity to be so involved with a generator that generates traffic such as Marist and HealthQuest.
I mean, that's a big part of the master plan as well as the development plan as well, to make everything pedestrian friendly as possible, and that's what millennials are looking for as well as the elderly.
If I could jump in for a second, this conversation comes up fairly frequently, and I've begun to speak of it in the more academic terms, as far as the three most important rules in real estate have always been location, location, location. Well, what's happened, especially with regard to retail development, it's no longer the three locations. There's a timing element, which is extremely important as the retail continues to evolve. So, this facility closed down in 2003. So it's been sitting vacant for the better part and deteriorating for the better part of 15 years, not from a lack of efforts by CPCR or my group or anybody else to get this going. You see large sites like this all the time that don't have users. It really takes the right location and the right timing to get something like this done. If interest rates start climbing again, if Amazon decides that they're going to start buying out every grocer in the country, and they got another one down the street, or Marist decides that for whatever their endowment went down or whatever, and they're not willing to even engage in a new life sciences building. So my point is, one of those three rules has to change to a timing element. And with the grocery lease, there's a timing element to that. They need to know with some certainty that they can get not only have a lease done, but have the building open within a certain time. And the additional tenants that will be tailing off of the grocer are going to want to know the same thing. So there'll be what we call co-tenancy provisions. There'll be opening provisions. There'll be free rent provisions. And really, I can't emphasize enough, Marty's done this stuff before, but the timing element is really critical, because the last thing that any of us need is to find out that the anchors no longer want to participate. Because once you start losing the anchors, you start losing the co-tenancy provisions and the rest of the development.
Yep.
So when Marty talks about coming in here quickly, we want to get this done as quickly as possible because the time is right. Interest rates are low, the economy is moving along. We have the anchor tenant. We're ready to finalize that lease with the anchor tenant. We've got the motivation with Marist. We've got the excitement with Marist behind us. We got HealthQuest. We're ready to move to a lease onto their facility down there. So it's really about the timing issue for us. We've been, I personally have been, involved here for about 4 years, and I couldn't be more excited to take it to the next level and be before you for our first phase of the redevelopment. So Thank you.
So let me take the board through procedurally where we would be. Obviously, tonight is really just sort of a conceptual discussion, and we thought, Michael and I thought it would be good for you guys to start seeing the plans and sinking your teeth into it before it comes to your desks in a formal meeting and the process starts. So that's really the purpose of tonight. But moving.
Jump in before we get into procedure.
Oh, sure. Can anybody?
Sorry. We had met a few weeks ago, and one of the questions I asked regarding the use of regarding HealthQuest, we're in the town, and we have a medical facility here. It's owned by Westchester Medical Center, and they have a program with Marist. They have the physician's assistant program, I believe, and they have a building they just completed for that use. And are you going to, or have you reached out to Westchester Medical Center to see if there's any kind of a relationship or partnership that you could have with them and HealthQuest. Certainly, I'm town-centric, okay, so you have to excuse me for that. But I need to understand if they want to be a player, if they want to be a player, is there any room for that?
Yes, it's Marty, John. George of Diversified has spoken with them in the past. They weren't quite ready the last time, and we will definitely proceed to talk with them as well as other uses from the town. We have an extra 130,000 square feet plus minus of space available. To the extent that you can join various medical facilities here, the better off it is. I think the last time we met, we showed you a sample of a project called iPark in Norwalk, Connecticut. Excuse me, and what that is, it's a facility. If you go online, you'll see iPark. It's a life fitness center, about 60,000 square feet, that has six or seven different medical facilities. They have a children's medical facility, an urgent care, primary care, physical therapy, and so on and so forth. And they all center around the gymnasium where they provide rehab-related services. So it's a long way of saying that the more medical services that we can bring together to share services, the better. One of the reasons that we did plan a gym here as well is because Marist has a PT graduate school program.
Yep.
So, the thinking is that they can provide their students with hands-on services. The 55 and older community like it because they have PT students for their clients, and whether it be whichever the medical use is, it all works together. So the more the better.
Kind of a one-stop shopping.
Yeah. Okay. Well, again, we need to explore that, and I'm sure any of the people on the town council would be as town-centric as I am would agree that we need to work with all parties, or you need to work with all parties.
Yes, they're on our call list, and we'll get to it in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, we hear you loud and clear, heard you the last one, we just haven't gotten her to make the call yet, but it's absolutely on our list.
Great, thank you. It's a good presentation, and it's bringing everybody up to speed, so we're on the right track.
Thank you.
All right, Dave.
Okay. So what we would be doing is entering sort of part two. I was going to say phase two, but there are a lot of phases being thrown around. So I'll say part two of the review process, really the site plan subdivision meat of your review moving forward. You've sort of already heard, but you're going to be provided with detailed site plans and subdivision, and it may be parts of the phase, I guess the phasing or relate to the developer's phasing as how they want to start moving across the site. But you're really going to be digging, to date, we've really been sort of on a conceptual level looking at the vision for the entire site. Now you'll be digging into the real site planning aspects, which you guys are sort of deal with on a daily basis, or monthly basis. You will need, as part of your review, to confirm that the plans that are before you don't present any new environmental impacts that weren't already studied as part of the SEQRA process, which you were an involved agency in, and the finding statement. So that will be one of your tasks.
Yeah, the town board is lead agency for.
That's correct, although as an involved agency and as since now you'll be making your an approval, you'll still have to make your own SEQRA findings, although they need to be consistent with the finding statement. But you're as the board will want to make sure that whatever's before you there's not something, a new impact that's wasn't studied. Now, I know that the applicant is already prepared, and I think is still preparing a technical memo, which will essentially evaluate what was studied under the SEQRA process, and then sort of overlay the site plans that you're studying now to compare and see what the delta is between the two. Right. And I've seen drafts of it already, and I'm assuming that it's going to show that the impacts are consistent with what's already been evaluated. To the extent that the board finds that there's not, then we would have to take a look at it. You're also going to be asked, and this is part of the development master plan process, to confirm that the plans that you're looking at are consistent with the intent of the development master plan. So we've had some discussions already tonight about preserving the historic buildings and the adaptive reuse, preserving the open space, making sure that the plan is integrated and walkable. All of those policy and purpose statements within the HRDD regulations, and also that were incorporated into the finding statement and development master plan. This board is now going to have to make sure that the plan that's before you is consistent with that. So that'll all be kind of wrapped up in a nice review process.
And if it's not consistent, there is a provision that says that they would have to go back to the town board to make a change, right? So I mean that's hopefully that's not the case in the sense of wanting to move forward, but that would be that's one of the things that the planning board has to feel comfortable that this is consistent with the development master plan.
Right, and I think the applicant will be asked to, probably already have started, my assumption is making that record for the board. So it's not going to be something that the board just has to kind of guess at. We have to now, really look into, compare and contrast the two.
Compare the differences.
Right.
I mean, what was your total commercial square footage again proposed?
What is it? What's the total square footage?
350,000.
Okay.
We
yeah,
have
so
planned.
You're still you're not jumping over you're still within the development master plan guidelines.
We did a very, at least in our opinion, and we have it prepared to submit. We did a very detailed analysis to make sure that what we're proposing fits under the impacts that were studied to date. And to the extent, quite frankly, that we may have made an error or over, our intention is to reduce it so that we don't have to go back and that we can move forward quickly.
Great, thank you.
So that's coming up probably pretty soon, but let's.
So probably as early as our May, if they're ready to have a submittal, we would be able to have that as part of our agenda for the May meeting. But is that a target that we're kind of looking for at this point? Yeah.
We certainly will have the technical memo and the qualitative comparison on the physical development plans by then, yes.
Okay. So we should gear up as well to get ready.
Right. Absolutely.
Sounds good. I mean, overall, it's good to see something happening. I know that 10 years ago, the downturn just kind of squashed a lot of stuff. And it's going to be good to see it happen.
Well, we're excited to make it happen.
Is any further comments from board members?
No, I love this when I first saw it because I'm Marist alumni. So I know a lot of these things were missing when I was in college. I know they need a grocery store. I know they need more housing. So if these things come into fruition, I think this will be great for the college. Absolutely.
Well, thank you. We'll plan to see you in May. Can we do April? Is April?
Already missed the
that,
deadline for,
It was-
middle deadline for
Missed
April's
that.
already
Okay.
passed. So.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, and apologies
Yeah.
for my tardiness. I
That's,
have a job up in Hyde Park. I got the traffic delay coming back from.
yeah, we were just getting started when you walked in, so
Thank
didn't
you.
miss anything. Thanks for your presentation, and
Thank you.
Thank you.
good luck. We'll see you in May.
Yeah. probably close the
Yeah,
meeting.
but yes, you need a.
I move we terminate the meeting.
No motion. Second.
Nope, no motion. Meeting ends, workshop ends. It's not official.
Okay, thank you.